Down in the street, I got this area wet, and then I got my my watercolor pencil out, and then I got my sandpaper out, and I just kind of, you know, did like so into the wet to get this effect down here, just this little speckled effect. Now, I wouldn't do that until you're kind of done with everything, because the minute I get this wet again, all of that watercolor pencil is going to smear. So color sanding is maybe a thing that I would say could be fun down here, but I would reserve it until the very end. Okay, so let's talk about these people. I want to look at my people. Yeah, so this guy, I get to dress him. I get to decide, you know, is it better for him to have a light shirt or a colored shirt? And you know, I'm not exactly sure, so I may save him for later, but I think I do know that I want this lady's coat to be white, her pants to be dark, her face to have color, and maybe give her some color in her scarf. So I'll start with her. So she's got this white coat. I don't know, maybe I'll put this in the shot here. So can you see both now?
No.
Can you see both now?
No, it's too big. There you go. Right.
Oh,
Okay.
that's really lagging behind.
It is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Now I
it.
just,
Okay, so you can see both. That's the point. All right, so how do I interpret white? I think in this instance, I'm going to just grab a little bit of a gray color. This is my my kyanite, but you could mix something too from like a raw sienna or a yellow ochre, and a little bit of cobalt blue or verditer. Oops, I really grabbed a lot there. So if I mix cobalt blue with raw sienna, I get a little more greenish gray, but maybe I'll just use a combination of those two. Just so you can mix a gray, you can grab one off of your palette. If you have a Payne's gray, that could be another use for that. Yes, because Carol's here, exactly. So I'm going to go into the shadow areas, which are kind of along her back, underneath. She's got a little pocket there. I notice it gets a little bit warmer toward the pocket, so I'll bring a little more yellow to that color. She's got flesh tone fingers. I think I'll just kind of interpret them with a little bit of that yellowy color for now. And then she's got a very pretty colorful scarf. To me, it might be the opportunity to bring some of that color that I used up top down there. So I'll get some pinks and maybe a little bit of Janet's Violet Rose. I feel that, and just kind of pop a little bit into that. And it looks a little bright, so I'm going to bring a little bit of that cobalt blue in there. This is her scarf. I feel like it's still a little bit bright, so I may just blot. Yeah, I like that better. But I'm going to have it get a little brighter again up by here. And that looks a little too bright, so I'll add a little blue to it. Make it look as if it's going into the shadow under her neck. Okay. Little things. I tell you what, it's I was talking with somebody about the idea that complicated images sometimes are so much easier to paint large than small.
Yeah,
You know.
you said that class last week.
Yeah, it's just the case. But then when you paint something big, then you have to have the right place to hang it, right? And that can be more difficult to find that place. Let's put in her dark hair. One of my favorite colors for brown hair is Perylin Maroon. And so a lot of times I'll go in with some Perylin Maroon, some burnt sienna. Even for this kind of dark hair that we're seeing here, she's got almost black hair really. But there's a little bit of warmth where the sun is hitting it. So I'm going to go in with that warmth first, and then I'm going to turn it dark. That hair comes in front of her glasses and in front of her ear. I've kind of given her elephant ears. I think I've got to dial that back. There we go, that looks better. And there's some hair underneath these glasses too, and kind of along the back side of her face there. Okay.
You're able to get all that detail with that big brush.
Yeah, I'm just using the tip. I'm not pressing down hardly at all.
You don't see any.
And then I'm going to really define her profile with the shadow behind her. So this could be kind of a nice opportunity to maybe get this out and kind of show you how you might use a pencil like this. This is kind of a graphite color. So if I go in behind her face, profiles are tricky. Man, they're just, there's no doubt about it. They're tricky.
And what specifically are?
Oh, because they just require some specificity. If you alter it even so slightly, that face goes from an attractive young woman to Cro-Magnon man. And it's, I mean, nobody wants to paint Cro-Magnon man. So,
Thank you for clarifying.
yes.
I was just wondering where you were going with that statement.
Yeah, and so I'm going to try to very carefully edit her so she's at least, if not a model, at least not resembling a cave woman. There we go. And there's color in her face too, so I'm going to try to give her a little bit of color. And for this, I'm just kind of mixing a flesh tone with yellow ochre and a little bit of the pink on my palette. And I'm going to go into the shadow section of her face. And then I'm going to leave her cheekbone kind of light, and I'm going to connect into the shadow underneath her eye. So I've got color. I don't know if you can see this. It's from her under her eye to below her nose.
You're within 5 seconds on that. We got a delay.
Oh yeah? Oh gosh.
Okay, so I see it.
So
Yeah,
We're listening and watching.
so I'm going to just
wait, are we?
so now I'm just going to soften with water. And hopefully that will all just kind of, I think it does. I think it smooths out, and it gives as much detail as I'm really interested in giving. I don't want to paint every feature, but what I do need is to get that shadow under her chin to define her chin. So I'm going to just go in with my little pencil here, and I'm going to find that shadow, and then I'm going to just soften it out. There we go. All right, so I'm kind of liking how she looks. Now in the photo, that looks like she's got a purse in her hand. And so I think I'm just gonna take an opportunity to bring that color down there. It's a little bit of this kind of yellow ochre, raw sienna here. I might bring a little burnt sienna in right immediately under the scarf. And then she's got dark pants, so I'm going to get some ultramarine blue and some burnt sienna and mix myself up a dark. And find her dark pants here. And then I'll find a little more shadow on her coat with my gray along the front here. And maybe along this seam. She's got a puckery little seam kind of running down the side of the coat. She's also got a bag behind her that's a white bag, and I might change that. I might make it a dark bag. I think that will pop the coat more.
If she only knew that she was the subject of such intense scrutiny.
I know.
The real
Maybe.
One, you know, when you took the picture.
Yeah, she'll never know, will she? It really mattered what she decided to wear that day. Much more so to us than to her, probably.
And if we don't like it, we can change it.
Yes. So I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of gray on her sneakers, at the base of her sneakers. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on those. And if I decide that they need more detail, I could always go in, even with a pencil, and give a little bit more detail to those shoes. But that might be all I do for her. Have you caught up with where I'm at? There you go.
We're at the shoes.
Okay. Yeah, I've interpreted her hair a little bit warmer than what it is in the picture, but I think I kind of prefer that. And her shoes may need to be just a tad darker in the back. I feel like that one's gotten a little big, but I'll tighten it up later. So let's go to this woman here. She's got a dark shirt and blue pants. And I think I'm okay with that. I'm not sure I want her shirt to be black. I might let her shirt be a different color.
Dark green, but
Maybe, yeah, it might be nice to bring some green down here. That's a good idea. So let's let her shirt be kind of a dark green with her blue jeans. Blue jean color, I mean, if you've got an indigo on your palette, I think that can really be a nice blue jean color. But other than that, I think you just kind of want a grade blue. And just a cobalt, maybe ultramarine, maybe verditer. Just kind of play around with coming up with your own version of a blue jean color. Lord knows they come in all kinds of washes now. I think I wanted a little bluer than that. Yeah, maybe like that. Okay. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go in on the shadow side first. It's quite dark into the V that forms when the leg goes behind. So I just kind of tuck some color in there. And I kind of made her leg a little fat, but maybe she's got baggy jeans on. I'm going in with kind of lines here along the edge to sort of maybe leave a little bit of some white here and there on that side. And I'm going to go in a little bit darker into the immediate base there to just sort of say shadow. There we go. And then underneath, I'm going to bring a little shadow to this leg. I may make it skinnier. Just with some negative painting there. Yeah, I think I like that better. And we've got the leg coming out the back here. So I'll connect that. That's a little bit darker than what's in front. So I'll bring a little bit of that darker gray back there. There's a very black purse that she's carrying, so I'll tuck that in here. And then that's against this very white bag that has a little bit of shadow underneath it here and some design on it. I don't know. Do I want all that design? Maybe I will just suggest a little something there. Just doing just a little bit of calligraphy there with the tip of my brush. Okay, now I'll put in her other leg. Again, I go in from the shadow side usually whenever I'm beginning to paint a shape. Usually I try to find where's the most value and I start there. And then I use water to kind of drag that color across the shape. She's got a pleat in her pants, but I'm not going to worry so much about that. Okay, so now I've got to get her green shirt in there. I think I'll mix it with some of the colors on my palette just so that it feels a little bit more cohesive. And we'll pop that cup of coffee with the shirt that's behind it. She's got blonde hair, so I'm going to try to paint around where the hair might be falling. The elbow is pretty much coming directly underneath that coffee cup. So I'm just trying to paint what I see in the shot. So I'm putting in these clothes before I'm putting in the flesh, kind of painting around where the flesh might be and where the hair might be. And then I'm going to get some flesh tone, a little bit of yellow ochre, maybe a little bit of this pink that's on my palette, and I'm going to go into the shadow shape again, which is under her neck. There's a little bit of shirt down here, so I'll tuck that in. And it gives shape to the neck there. The chin is always lighter than the neck. So I'm going to, in a relative way, I'm going to try to let that chin be lighter. There's more shadow underneath the cheekbone, underneath the lip. And usually that goes into the eye socket, kind of around the cheekbone, but she's got glasses, so that will kind of help. So now I'm just going to let water kind of fill that in. And hopefully in a relative way, my neck is going to stay darker. While I've got this flesh tone mixed, I'm going to put her arms in. The shadow's deepest on the underside of the arm. Now I'll put her hair in. For blonde hair, a lot of times I will use kind of a mix of raw sienna, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and maybe just a touch of grayed color so that it doesn't look too yellow, so it's a little ashy.
Raw sienna, yellow ochre, what was the other?
Burnt sienna, yeah. I'm gonna leave some light in her hair. I'm also going to try to combine her with the background a little bit, so she's not just a cutout, but she's part of the environment. And she's wearing black glasses, so I think I might put those in. And I feel like she needs a little more flesh tone on her forehead.
Well, what?
Flesh tone. And let's see. In her hand, I feel like I need to get some flesh tone in her hand. And find the fingers on her coffee cup. And that might be all I do, just,
Michael just got murdered by a picture.
can you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
gonna make a,
I still can't believe you're doing it with that big brush.
ah! I don't like to change brushes, okay, but I've got this bright white here that doesn't belong, so I'm gonna eliminate that, make that green. I gave her a belt. And I don't know, I saw a little something in there, but I don't know that it needs to be quite this bright, so I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. Yeah, I think I like that. She's got red sneakers on. That's kind of fun. So I might give her those red sneakers. Tuck those in there. And I'll just give a hint of it here. Yeah. Yeah, that might be what I do for her. Just something like that. She's just a side character. She's supporting cast, and
What for supporting cast?
so so now I've got my star to figure out, and I think I like his gray pants a lot, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of gray in this area. I feel like I might rather he wore blue jeans. So I might put him in blue jeans. And his top is navy in here. That could be nice. That could be nice. Okay, so I'm going to put, I've got blue jean color here, so I'm going to put the blue jeans on him right now. And his pants are so wrinkly. I don't know if you can see that in the photo. There's a whole lot of wrinkles going on. So I guess I'll start in an area that I feel like has a lot of value again. It's kind of my go-to. Where to start? Look for the areas of value. And just begin there. Begin there with paint. And then know that you can connect areas with water later on. So I'll find some of these wrinkles I see, exaggerate them. I don't know if I need to give him that bulge in his pocket, so we'll just. Yeah, I know we don't need to go there, but I can kind of.
Jenny were here.
I'll just find some of this crease over his, and now I've got these kind of wrinkle shapes, and now I can just kind of, with water, hopefully connect them and suggest that they might be there, but maybe not make them too specific. Kind of soften them out a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now I can put some flesh tone in his. Is this helpful? See me do this? Okay. All right.
Yes,
So I'm going to go in with his arm here.
You're not alone. I'm sure other people feel the same way.
that looks a little brown. I think I'm gonna make it just a little bit pinker. He's got his hand on a phone here, so I'll give him some fingers. Isn't that just like the typical pose of everyone you want to paint anytime anymore? Is they're looking at their phone? When we look at when we look at paintings from this era, we'll be able to know that it's from the 2000s by the fact that every person you see is like this in a painting. Okay, so I kind of like his blue shirt, so I think I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna start with an ultramarine blue. And then I'm going to try to turn it to a more indigo flavor blue by adding some violet. This case, it's my amethyst, and sort of dulling it down a little bit with that in these sort of more shadowed areas. Again, I'm going to try to let him sort of combine with his environment just a little bit, so he's not a complete cutout.
When you say combined, how are you doing that?
I'm just sort of painting over the edge so that he's kind of he's softly combined with the background here and there. I'm going to use just a touch of black in that blue too, in here, under the arm there, just so I can push that shadow. And maybe bookend in a way that color that's behind him. This shirt is very dark in the picture. So again, I'm kind of letting that edge be lost along this side. I'm going to push a little flesh tone, and for this, because I'm going to have to push aside other paint, I'm going to go to my more opaque colors, my yellow ochre, my cadmium orange, and I'm going to just push a little bit of flesh tone into the back side of the phone. Do the same here. And the phone is dark, but there's a little bit of light across the top of it. So I'm just gonna suggest that it's there. Now there's also a little bit of gap under this arm. So I'm just gonna try to find that. All right, so now I need to get the flesh tone in his face. I'm gonna go back to my more transparent flesh tone, but it's kind of dark. It's under the chin here. He's got a beard too, so I'm gonna just go to one of my darks and kind of come up the face a little bit. Softly. And then retreat back to flesh tone. Quite a bit of value, but his nose is quite light. His face is pointed down. And then his forehead is also got quite a bit of value in it. The brow ridge is still pretty well lit, as is the nose. But the hair is very dark again. So I'm gonna go back in with this hair. It's got kind of a pompadour. Quite dark. So I'm going to make it exaggeratedly dark. And that darkness kind of goes behind the ear. And then it gets lighter again. Now I got to get some value, some flesh tone in his ear. And he doesn't need a white nose, so I'm just going to use water to connect those two areas of paint and see if I can't dial down the value in his face. Getting closer. Yeah, that might be where I leave it for now. I may make that shirt darker. I did definitely make him stockier, but I think that's okay. No one's gonna say, oh, he wasn't that heavy. He's just, again, he's a bit player on the stage, and I think he's playing his part okay. So I'm not going to worry too much about being perfect. I just want to give the impression of a guy walking. I didn't do his sneakers. I feel like he needs to be grounded with a little bit of shadow underneath his shoes. So I'm going to put a little shadow under there, under both sides. We don't want any floating people. And I probably need the same shadow under her over here. To ground her. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah, okay. So that's pretty much how I would go about doing the people. I start in the areas with the most value, and I tuck in those values, and then I use water to connect them to turn the white areas to light value. I kind of drag the paint that I have on the paper across. His hair could be darker, and I think I could just go in there with some burnt sienna and ultramarine blue and kind of find a dark brown to kind of find that pompadour a little bit more. Yeah, that might be. He's such a little thing that it's hard to illustrate him. Yeah, just maybe tuck that little bit of shadow along this side of the leg in. Yeah, I think that's pretty close to where I'd want to leave it. I might make him thinner by just kind of coming up here with a shadow. Yeah.
Exhausted just watching you, yes?
Yeah, I mean, there's
I just think of that.
people in scenes, especially when they are European scenes, do animate them. I mean, they do bring life to landscape. And especially European scenes, I feel like if you really want them to feel authentic, it is nice to have people in them. But you can see, I mean, I'm just doing a little bit of color here, a little bit of color there. I'm not worrying about, representing them as they truly are. I just kind of want to get the gist of them. And if you think about faces, where are the shadows on a face? They are under the brow bone, they are under the nose, they are under the bottom lip, and they are under the chin. So if you just tuck in shadows in these appropriate places, for the most part, you're going to be golden. And you'll get the resemblance of a human being. And that's really all you need. It's not like you're painting a celebrity that, we all recognize. So just give yourself license. If you're close, you're good. You're just bringing life to this cafe scene. And really, less specific is better. Because the more specific you try to be, the more we're going to expect it to be right. Whereas if you're vague, then there's somehow we give more permission to something that's vague than something that's trying to be specific. All right? Does that take the pressure off a little bit? There's tea back there with caffeine. I am. Yeah, I'm going to stop.